Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 17th of July 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of the videos that are coming out. So, and also our JFD research page, where you can go and have a look at different analysis that we do on a daily basis, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here. So, but for now guys, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is gold. Now looking at this one, and I've talked about this one on Monday basically, and this is just a quick update basically to say that this is still kind of running within this potential kind of wedge formation, wedge triangle formation, something like that. You can see that it's stuck here, it's kind of drifting inside of it right now, and for now we're just gonna sit here and wait for a clear breakthrough, one of our key levels, before we kind of get excited with any other further directional move. So in a way, if we see a push, if we see a nice good push above the upper side of this this wedge formation, but just for that better confirmation, a push above the 1425 level, if we get into something like that, then yep, that's great. We could target the 1439.40 zone, which previously acted as a strong area of resistance. But if that fails to withhold, then yep, this could continue pushing higher, and then we'll aim for the 1450 or even going further up. So for now, basically what we need here for the upside is a clear push above the upper side of the wedge here, and a clear break above the 1425 level. In terms of the downside, a similar story, but just the opposite way. A break below the lower side of the wedge, I mean, that's what we're looking here for, and ideally a drop below the 1382 zone. This way, I mean, this way we could see gold maybe sliding further down. I mean, we will have this 200 EMA kind of here approaching this level probably by the time, let's say, if this decides to drift lower. So we probably might have the 200 EMA kind of coinciding with this level right here as well. So in a way, a nice good clear also move below the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart could open the path towards these slightly lower areas. And the first target for us is going to be around the 1358 zone, marked near the highs of the 14th of June. So keep your eyes on that one. And for now, just let's stay put and wait for that clear break. Brent oil. Now, looking at Brent oil, I've talked about this one this week as well, and actually let me just double check myself, guys. I've talked about this one on Friday. There we go. So basically, now I'm kind of double checking myself. When did I mention that? Last week I've mentioned that. No, actually sorry, I mentioned this one yesterday. There we go. That's why it rings the bell. So Brent oil. What's interesting here, and this is what I was talking about yesterday. Basically, I was talking about this upside support line, and some of these key areas of support and resistance. So as you can see, Brent oil decided not to travel further up here. It broke this upside support support line and moved below this level that I've talked about, kind of in order to, let's say, consider further declines. And this one is the 65.12, 10, 15 zone, approximately around there. It's all very close here. So it managed to drop below this, and now you can see that today the commodity is sitting below its pivot, which is seen as a bearish sign. So we did have a nice test of this area here, the 63.74, 75 zone. Almost managed to reach that, but this is the level that I was talking about if we see a drop below the 65.15. So we got that one, and we had a nice rebound from this area near the 63.75. So now it's currently balancing here. The bearish thing about this is because not only that we had this strong move to the downside and that we could have this continuation further, but the fact is that looking at some of our indicators here, we can see that the price is currently below all of its EMAs here, the 21, the 50, the 100, and the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, and also below its pivot, today's pivot. So basically all this kind of creates this bearish atmosphere. The only thing is, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a very cautious approach and wait for a clear break below the 63.75 level before we kind of get excited with further declines, and just for that, kind of to be on the safe side basically, and that's why, guys, wait for the break of the 63.75 before kind of aiming lower. We will only aim for the 62 zone first, because it was a nice area of support here back on the 3rd of July. Basically, for now, it's kind of the lowest point of July so far. But I mean, if we see Brent oil traveling further down here, in a way, everything can change by the end of the month, and we could maybe establish a new lower low in July. So keep your eyes on this one. In terms of the upside, well, we're going to take a very conservative approach here and wait until we see a push back above this upside support line and a push above the 67.45 zone before kind of aiming higher again. So Ripple. Now, this is something that's quite interesting, and if we look at the kind of overall picture, of course, yes, in the mid-May, I mean, we had a nice push higher, kind of continued drifting to the upside up until kind of the end of June, where it kind of started selling off here, and you can see it's now sliding further down. I mean, it's trading below this downside. Let me just quickly put this downside resistance line, this newly established downside resistance line. We're going to keep close eye on it, but the more important thing is that it's now let me just quickly put some levels here very quickly, guys. So now you can see that the crypto managed to reach its key area of support here, which was previously reached in April, 25th of April, and it managed to take a perfect hit of that, the 0.2825 level, from which it kind of rebounded and remain slightly above it. So you can see that there are some other key important levels that I'm going to mark here. So this one right here, for example, also a nice good area of support. You can see that it's currently balancing slightly above this, the 0.2975 area, 0.2942 area. This was marked by the low of the 9th of May. So for now, of course, all this is not really looking good for Ripple. The only thing is that it found already good support and tested these two areas here, the April low and the May low. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to take a very cautious approach, because if we see a drop below this, then yes, that's wonderful for the bears. We could see further declines, and we could see this one drifting further down. And in terms of finding a lower level, now this could be a little bit of a difficult one, because well, we need to kind of scroll back all the way here to the September 2018. So a nice good potential area of support could be seen around here. Let me just quickly put this one in, near the 0.2520 zone. So you can see this level here. And by the way, just let me double check something. I believe that this was the lowest point kind of after this massive rally that we had in 2017 December. So yeah, that was the after that was the lowest point that it managed to reach here, and that was reached in September 2018. So in a way, in other words, guys, if we see a drop below the April lows here near the 0.2825, then yep, brace yourselves. We could see maybe we could maybe revisiting the 0.25 level again. So keep your eyes on that one. If it holds here, if it decides to rebound back to the upside, now looking at this daily chart, in a way we're going to continue observing this downside resistance line. If it holds, we could see another leg of selling here, and then we'll take it from there. But if it fails to hold the price down, a nice good break, I mean, eventually could kind of give some hope for the buyers in order to kind of push this one further up here. So for now, all eyes basically are on this downside line, because given that we found good support already near the April lows and the May lows, we could see a small correction back to the upside, but like I said, the upside could be short-lived. So that's why, guys, be very careful. Let me just put an arrow here. So something like this could eventually be possible to see. So keep this idea in your heads. But for those who are more on the cautious side, what you could do here is just wait for a break below the April lows, and then aim for the lows of 2018. So keep your eyes on that one. Now jumping into a few pairs now, GBPUSD. This is what I was talking about yesterday, and basically I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this 1.2440 level. So I talked about GBPUSD in my morning video, in my evening video as well. So we had a nice close of the daily candle below this 1.2440. Of course, this creates this bearish atmosphere here. The only thing is that, given that we are quite over sold already here on the even on the daily chart, to be honest, I mean, I wanted to say the 4-hour chart, but even on the daily chart we're quite oversold. The only thing is that still that doesn't mean that it will correct now and travel higher. We need some good moves here. Basically, looking at the daily chart, we need a nice good push above this downside resistance line before we kind of could examine, let's say, the upside in the near term. But until kind of it balances below this downside line, we will remain bearish, even though, like I said, we could see this one traveling higher again, but this move higher could be seen as a temporary correction. So that's why for now what you could do here, and looking at this daily chart, by the way, you can see that we are already in the negative zone for the year. So now we need to kind of, in a way, scroll back here and try to find another good potential area of support. Now one of them could be around here near the 1.20, let me just quickly double check, 1.23 66 65 level, something like that, approximately around there. This could be seen as a nice potential target for today, especially. I'll jump into a 4-hour chart just to see how it looks in relation to the pivot points. So this could be that one potential target that we could be monitoring. But the only thing is that, don't forget, today we have the UK CPI figures are coming out in an hour and something, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, in about 2 hours it's coming out. So keep your eyes on that one, because in a way we could, if the numbers come out better than expected, then we could in a way see this one getting a small boost here to the upside. But for now, like, guys, be very careful. Like I said, looking at this level, the 1.2366 65, it's just near the S1 here, so very good potential target could be this one. But for now, like I said, let's not over speculate too much on this one. First, let's see if it wants to continue pushing further down. If what you could do here is, if you see a drop below yesterday's lows near the 1.2395 level, yep, then you could in a way target the 1.2366 65, or as I said, this S1. In terms of the upside here, well, it's pretty straightforward. We need to see a nice good push above the 1.2440, and ideally maybe a close of a daily candle above this level, above the 1.2440, before kind of, let's say, targeting slightly higher levels. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. It could be very interesting in a couple of hours, and let's see how this is going to play out. Euro dollar, very quick update on this one. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I've talked about this one yesterday in my morning video and in the evening video as well. So basically what I was saying, that if we see a drop below the 1.1244, we could see this one traveling further down, maybe even testing this upside support line. So we got that. So we got our test, and you can see that initially it did have a small break below this, a false breakout here on the 4-hour chart, but still, nevertheless, excuse me, all the 4-hour candles remained above this upside support line. So for now, in order for us, let's say, to continue aiming towards lower areas, you can see by the arrow that I've got here, we need to see a drop below the 1.1190 level. Of course, initially a drop below the upside support line, but initially when we'll see the upside support line, this is where we'll start being very cautious. But in order to, like I say, get slightly more comfortable with the downside, a drop below the 1.1190, or even for those who are very, very careful, 1180 here. So this could, in a way, open the path towards further declines, and this is where we will aim for the 1.1110 zone, approximately around here. This is, by the way, not far from the lows of May. In terms of the upside, well, now given that it's here, the rate is here. Yesterday I was talking about this level here, the 1.1175. In a way, this kind of still remains that barrier, that comfortable barrier, where we could aim for higher levels, because if it travels back above the 1.1244, yes, it could move higher. The only thing is that this little territory for us is going to be somewhat of a neutral one. So in a way, we could, even if we see a push above the 1.1244, back above it, of course, then this level could hold, the 1.1275 level could hold, and we could see another slide back down here. So that's why, like I said, we're going to be very careful here and wait for that 1.1275 break. USDCAD, also very relevant today. We do have the Canadian CPI figures coming out, and basically this one, you can see that managed to push away from the 1.3020 level, where it found a very good support here. So again, this level for us is going to be an important one to watch, especially if we see a break below the 1.3020, then yep, we could see this one maybe sliding initially towards the psychological 130 level, and then maybe further down. For now, we're going to be very careful here. In a way, if the Canadian data comes out as a disappointment, we could see something like this happening, guys. So we could see maybe a drop lower again and another push higher. But for those who are slightly more on the cautious side, from the short-term perspective, you could keep an eye on the 1.3095 level, and then aim kind of further up here. So but the only thing is that the upside could be limited due to this tentative downside resistance line taken from the high of the 31st of May, approximately around there. And the important level to watch here is around the 1.3145. As you can see previously, that was kind of a very nice area of resistance here. So we may see the rate stalling around here again. So that's why for now, be very careful. Wait for the Canadian data to come out. Don't over speculate on this one too much, and probably just react to the news. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's NZDCAD. Now looking at this one, of course, NZD is slightly performing better than the US dollar against the Canadian dollar, but looking at this picture, I mean, we had our nice break here of this downside resistance line. What we're going to do here now is keep an eye on this 0.8786, and then aim for slightly higher levels. But by slightly higher levels, I mean this one right here. And let me just adjust this one very quickly. There we go. That's the 0.8815 zone. So good potential target as well. The rate might get a hold up near this level. But first, before we kind of examine this one, could examine this one, we will aim for the we need to see that nice good break above the 0.8786. So also keep your eyes on the data, on the Canadian data. Let's see if this kind of makes a move here, but probably more important one will be the USD CAD. So keep your eyes on that one as well. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me later on at my traders tea time, as always, that's 13:15 GMT time. We'll have a look at some of these pairs again. We'll see how they reacted to the news today. So but yeah, as I said, always be careful guys. Do not over speculate. Sometimes it's maybe better to even just react to the news after once the news is out. So that's why guys, be very careful, be very cautious, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.